Hello there, welcome back to Blue Harvest Vintage Toys. If you're a regular viewer of our Paliboys live stream on a Tuesday and a Friday night at 8 PM GMT, shameless plug there, you may have caught us talking and showing off our vintage vehicles. And when it came to the X-Wing, one of the guys, Tez Rowlands, didn't know that Palitoy made a different X-Wing to the Kenner version. Now again, I was a bit shocked that he didn't know that. A lot of these videos come from people not knowing certain things about vintage toys and certainly vintage Star Wars. I know I don't know everything, and that's why I buy books and I learn and I teach myself things. And this is why I do these videos, is to spread the knowledge. I don't want to say teach because that's a bit pretentious, because when you delve deep into vintage Star Wars, there's so much to talk about. And these, I feel like, are the basic facts of the products. But this is why I'm here. If Tez Rowlands doesn't know it, a lot more people mustn't know about it as well. And I want to just go through the differences between Palitoy and Kenner and why that was. So back in 1977, when Kenner got the license for the Star Wars products, they wanted to distribute it in Europe, obviously. The parent company of Kenner, General Mills, had certain companies in Europe as well, so they pitched it to them to see who wanted to make these products and package these products for the UK and Europe. Meccano kind of dropped the ball on it, so it was down to Palitoy and Parker Brothers. But Parker Brothers said they had The Man from Atlantis, which was a TV show which was going to run a lot longer, so they let Palitoy go ahead and take it. The only problem was Palitoy paid a lot of money for this license, and when they were sent samples of the products that Kenner were making, a lot of them were going to prove too expensive to make, especially as there was an oil crisis at that time too. So some vehicles and playsets were retooled and entirely new creations were made. So let's get on to the key differences in some of the items. I'll start with the X-Wing because that's why we're here. The Kenner X-Wing did have two different versions though, that being the Star Wars version that had white engines and a moulded back engine, and the later Empire Strikes Back version had black engines and a moulded back end. But both of these had lights and sound. Yes, that screeching sound that we had in the Millennium Falcon and the Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. Terrible sound, but there you go. And the push-down R2-D2 was like a matte silver. The Palitoy version, however, was more like the original Star Wars version of the Kenner. It had white engines, but it had a sticker on the back end instead of the moulded plastic. Plus it had all the electronics taken out, making it very light and a lot simpler. But on the plus side, it did have a lovely chrome R2-D2. Another difference is when you take these two ships apart, they are constructed very differently. On the Kenner version, the nose cone is completely separate, and on the Palitoy, the nose cone is a part of the main body. The other vehicle that was simplified by Palitoy was Luke's Land Speeder. As you may know, the Kenner version has a bonnet that opens up to show the engine inside, and on the Palitoy version, the bonnet is sealed shut. Now there is another vehicle that has differences, and that is something I'm going to look into and maybe do a extra video on that, and that is a Millennium Falcon. The Palitoy designers have said that there's tooling differences on each model, so like I say, you're learning stuff all the time. So let's get on to the playsets now, and we'll kick things off in style with one of the best and hardest find playsets, the Palitoy Death Star, which was originally only available in the UK, Australia and Canada. Released in 1977, the Emperor's infamous planet-destroying superweapon is recreated in cardboard. The large semisphere, approximately 60 centimeters in diameter, was big enough to fit action figures inside and features some wonderful illustrations of key locations from the film, such as the chassis compactor, cell block, command centre and rotating gun placement. This impressive beast is held together with 10 plastic clips and also includes 6 special bases for mounting action figures on. Due to its cardboard construction, tracking one down in mint condition nowadays is no easy feat, and even spare parts regularly trade for decent prices. Yes, we know this. I still need that canopy, and particularly in America where the set was never released. Interestingly, Australian toy makers Tall Toys made an almost identical Death Star, but instead of being made of cardboard, it was recreated in much sturdier chipboard. The Kenner Canada was also made of thicker cardboard. It was a Sears exclusive, had a totally black bottom. The Palitoy had figures and an X-Wing chasing Darth Vader's TIE Fighter. But the Sears exclusive one, being from Canada, has a French warning sign on the trash chute entrance. Meanwhile, in America, Kenner's take on the Death Star was totally different, and instead of being a cardboard sphere, it was more like a plastic tower with card walls. Kenner's Death Star was the largest and first playset released by the company, and had lots of interesting features such as an elevator that travelled to the different floors, laser cannon, and an opportunity to recreate the dramatic bridge scene by swinging Luke and Princess Leia over the retracting drawbridge. If you fancied a more relaxed adventure, then the Palitoy Cantina could have been the thing for you. The cantina is shown in the first Star Wars film, and it's the location where Luke first meets smuggler Han Solo. It's a bit of a dodgy dive, full of weird aliens and unusual characters. The playset recreated this nicely with a cool cardboard backdrop depicting strange drinkers, while the plastic base had a sunken bar area where your action figures could stop for a quick pint of Bantha brew. There was also a cool battle action function that allowed Obi-Wan Kenobi to whack Greedo, the alien, in the face with just the press of a button. Once again, over in America, Kenner had a slightly different take on the cantina. Although the card backdrop was the same, the base was different, which gave the playset some new features, including an opening cantina door, a mock battle scene between Han Solo and Greedo, and a slightly different battle action for Obi-Wan at the bar. Kenner's is probably the better playset thanks to the more interesting action features. On the subject of differences, one of the playsets, the most obvious differences between Palitoy and Kenner was a droid factory. In fact, the only resemblance between the two is the name. In the UK, Palitoy created a factory with a conveyor belt to transport the various droid parts through the different locations within the imaginary factory. The playset did actually come with droid parts to allow you to build your little robots yourself. For completists, it's worth noting Palitoy produced a version of a yellow plastic base and also a blue one. Meanwhile, across the pond, Kenner decided its droid factory could use a crane to carry the robot parts around rather than a conveyor belt. The base was brown with steps going up one side and a large crane in the middle, which could be moved around. Like the UK version, the factory came with interchangeable plastic parts that could be used to make 5 different robots. These small parts were easily lost, so finding a mint set with all the pieces can be quite tough. Although it's worth noting that Kenner re-released the droid factory as the Jabba the Hutt dungeon when Return of the Jedi hit cinemas in 1983. This version included typical action features rather than robots. You could build yourself. Another one of the more unusual playsets was the Land of the Jawas, which sounds slightly more impressive than the reality that we got with the toy. One of the early scenes in the Star Wars features a dwarf-like hooded Jawas who travel around in their massive sandcrawler vehicle, selling and buying robots. Luke and his Uncle Owen purchased R2-D2 and C-3PO from the Jawas, and this scene could be recreated thanks to this playset. As for the playset, there's a card backdrop of the sandcrawler with working elevator to take the droids away, and the plastic base to represent the desert-like landscape of the planet Tatooine. Although the American version was virtually identical, the Kenner take on the so-called Land of the Jawas included a much better plastic base with caves for the Jawas to hide in and a neat replica of the crash pod that C-3PO and R2-D2 used to escape from Princess Leia's ship after Darth Vader invaded. So good was the base that Kenner decided to reuse it for the later Hoth Ice Planet and Rebel Command Center sets. Sadly, that was it for the Palitoy playsets, as Kenner began to produce the majority of the Star Wars merchandise from Empire Strikes Back onwards, while Palitoy basically became a marketing and sales department rather than a toy producer. So there you go, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe you learned something new, maybe you didn't, but it's always handy to have the information there for when and if you need it. So if there's any question you need answering, please let me know, leave in the comments, get in touch with me. I am always only too happy to help. Please check out all my other how to collect videos. The playlist is coming up very shortly, and check out all my other playlists. If you enjoy what I do, please subscribe, please share, and please thumb up all my videos. I really appreciate you watching, and until next video, may the toys be with you.
mine. Mine's white.
Yeah, but the outdoor's not chrome.
No, Artie's not chrome, Mark.
Oh,
Got the button at the back.
Look,
what's mine? Mine's down here. Okay.
I've got the clear one.
You got the Palitoy one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
original one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, that's got electrics on. This one hasn't got electrics on.
Yeah, it's got lights on.
Yeah.
I think the back's different. Look at your back.
What's a sticker?
And yours is a sticker.
Yeah. Yeah, because Palitoy, they had to cheapen everything down because they paid so much for the license.
Yeah.
I've never
That's like
seen. I've never seen the. I never knew that.